So when will it deliver? Well, the thing about these studies is you have to wait. It's a horrible thing to say, but you have to wait until people develop particular conditions and then look to see why is it that one person gets backache and another doesn't, or gets dementia and another doesn't. What are the differences in the samples that you collected 5, 10, 15, 20 years before, or in their lifestyle as they described it? That should identify new causes. And this is not about prediction so much of the causes of these different diseases. It's about identifying new pathways, new causes, new ways to treat and prevent these conditions. So this resource, built on 500,000 altruistic Britons, will allow scientists from all around the world, because it's an open access resource, to understand the determinants of pretty much everything that kills us, maims us, or causes misery in terms of disease. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rory. Handing over then to Bruce, please.
Fiona, I have to declare a slight conflict in the sense that Rory's work is funded by the British Heart Foundation and I'm on the council, and they also paid my salary at Imperial College for 5 years. But having made that absolutely clear, I think you've shown really quite dramatically how the power of numbers and how they allow you to crank up the magnification on some really very difficult questions. And I find myself thinking, that's okay, this is a UK population, but will your findings apply to genetically diverse populations such as the Chinese, the Japanese, people in Southeast Asia or Africa?
I think it's a very important point. First of all, to stress that we're looking at all sorts of risk factors, not just genetic ones, and that we need studies like UK Biobank in a number of different populations. And the reason for that is, in many respects, Britons are not normal. Our cholesterol levels are abnormally high across the population. So if we really want to know the importance of, say, cholesterol, we need to have studies that go well below the range we can study here. But UK Biobank, within the range of exposures it can study, will, I think, largely be generalizable to populations across the world in terms of lifestyle, environmental, and genetic, because what one's finding with the genetic factors is the gene where you're influencing disease, and so it's not that that is a prediction, does it predict it in Britons and not in Chinese? That gene is still important for disease in humans.
Thanks, Roy.
Thank you. Andy.
Thank you for a very good presentation. I'm involved with the BBC in a longitudinal study looking at children as they grow up, and what struck me is that they're capturing tens of thousands of variables around these kids and following up and look at the influence of those environmental and genetic variables. Whilst I think the biobank's a very, very good idea, my concern is, you gave back pain as an example, is that it's multifactorial, and if, for example, posture was the fundamental reason why people were getting back pain, you won't know that because you've not captured that variable. And so are there not too many variables and you're not capturing enough, and therefore you're only going to focus on cardiovascular disease and respiratory disease as in isolation?
I think it's a very important point. I mean, the way I would characterize it is you going for depth or width, if you like. Very big study, but with not a lot of depth, or a very small study with a lot of depth. And I think actually, in reality, what UK Biobank has done, because of your real commitment to that study, is get both depth and breadth. We have very large numbers. They're actually very well characterized in terms of a huge range of different aspects of lifestyle, environment, as well as the biological samples. And so the problem, though, is the amount of information. And also, the problem from a genetic point of view has been the costs of doing assays on this scale. I think that the technology has actually now caught up, that one can one can do genetic sequencing now for about $1,000. By the time this study is ready, really, for big-scale experiments in 3 or 4 years, it'll be down to probably a few hundred. And then you can get extreme depth in terms of genetics, as well as all the other factors, and extreme size, and really understand the cause of disease.
Rory, thank you very much indeed. That was fantastic. Cheers.
Thank you.
Our final presenter is Dr. Patty Kostkova. Patty is a senior research fellow and the head of City eHealth Research Centre at City University in London. In recent years, she has been appointed as a consultant at the WHO and Foundation Mereux. She is going to talk about tweet, share and search, how e-health and social networks will improve global health by 2020. Patty.
Thank you for the introduction. I have a question for you. How many of you have got this device on you at the moment? Well, so virtually everyone. So my next talk will show you how we can make the use of our day-to-day communication device, which became our daily bread in the 21st century, for improving our health. So this is the title of my talk, and I included the last sentence saying tweet to hashtag Twitter 2020. Is there any one of you who doesn't know what I mean by saying tweet to hashtag 2020? Perhaps you will find out in the next 8 minutes what this means and how this can change our healthcare. Those who know how to tweet to the hashtag, you are very welcome to do so. We can look at it after the session. In the last century, the internet has caused a major boom. We can access any information online. We can access information at the same rate as our doctors. And the whole industry, which used to be kind of dominated by doctors, has completely changed its shape. And obviously, there's a financial implication to it. Well, we are now getting used to not just the internet and laptops being a part of our daily life, and daily life in any parts of the world, as you can imagine. But in the 21st century, the world has changed. It's not just the internet we're having a daily access to. It's basically the mobile phone, the device we are all carrying around to talk to our friends and colleagues. And you may be surprised that 17% of phone users are actually not just talking to their friends and colleagues, and they're looking up information about their health or about their conditions on their phone, surprisingly or not. Do we all look like this when you're calling our doctor? Well, it's not just the mobile phones and the kind of usual communication of calling and looking up the internet. It's also using the social networks, like the biggest one you're familiar with, the Facebook, for healthcare purposes. So this is, for example, a fan page for the Global Handwashing Day, which was set up 3 years ago by London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and it's promoting the concept of hand washing over the internet and inviting thousands of fans who may not be familiar with the concept to join the particular website and become involved in this movement in a real-time and a very cost-effective fashion. So it's not just the Facebook, it's also eBay, it's also Flickr, and it's also the recent invention called Twitter. So those of you who may not be familiar with it, Twitter allows you to tell the world, or at least the followers, what you do at the moment. So you have 120 characters, so it's very similar to the Facebook status updates, which you can fill in with anything you want, and you can send it to the cyberspace. Anyone who follows you will get it on their mobile phone, and they know what you're doing at the moment, what you had for breakfast, whether you had a shower, which talk you're attending, what happened at your work. If you're a celebrity, you may have thousands of followers who may be very interested to know what you actually do. If you are a marketing company, you may use Twitter to spread the cyberspace with your latest product.